it's gone backwards since the command of oil resources by the conservative Muslim powers. So it's gone way back. Anyway, we're forward enough that we can look at this. And he was clothed in purple and fine, making merry every day. I note in my book that the daily theme is very important. The certain rich man is very important. The clothing theme is very important. What happens is they use words, as I told you, and throw them up in the air and come down with like a Scrabble different tradition situation. And again, there was a certain poor, and it doesn't say man, I don't think. It just says poor one. The poor, certain poor one.
Poor and it says man in this one.
Oh yes, in the translation, but not in the Greek.
Oh, okay.
That's what you got the Greek for. Hey, kiddo, I don't care about the translation. That's why I gave you the interlinear Greek, so you can check if someone added something. I know what it says. It's very important. Now, you're not unintelligent enough. Is that right? Yeah, you're not unintelligent enough. That's a double negative. In other words, you're intelligent enough that you cannot look at the Greek and see what the Greek says. And when you see a thing like poor man, you want to run and look. Does it say man there, or does it say just poor? And that you can see, because man, you would know the word is anthropon or something like that, and you see it's not there. Who was called Lazarus, who was laid at his porch. Now, laying at his porch, that's the key. That's in the Talmud about Noctimon's friend, as I told you, Ben Kalba Sabua. Sabua means filled. This person is longing to be filled from the crumbs under the table and so on, desiring to be filled, or whatever they want. Yeah, fed, filled, whatever the thing is. And you can see the links totally with the Talmudic tradition about Noctimon and these other rich men who could supply Jerusalem with enough food for 30 years or something like that. They were so rich they filled up the granaries. The feeding episodes in the New Testament, the miraculous feeding episodes transformed into miracles that the Dionysus-like God performs. Anyway, this fellow's name is Ben Kalba Sabua, as I told you. And that means filled, and this means dog. It can also mean immersed. That's a code. That's not his real name. That's a Talmudic code. Noctimon is the real name. Okay, so this you can find in books like, there are indexes in the Talmud too, and you can find this in Ketubot, Gittin. These are the two best ones. What other ones can I think of? This is divorce, this is marriage contracts, because it's going to be about a lot of women who divorce their husbands and the marriage contracts that they have, very rich women. And these women are mostly called Mary and Martha. Martha is the daughter of the high priest Boethus, according to the Talmud. See how convoluted all this is? Where are you going, Eisenman? This Mary in Hebrew is Miriam. Maryam in Arabic, Mary in English, I don't know, it just works its way down. And she is the daughter of Noctimon. Is she daughter of Noctimon or Ben Kalba Sabua? See, even I'm getting confused here. I think it's not. Hold on, it may be with Ben Kalba Sabua. My brain is. I think it's Ben Kalba. Now, in the tradition, as I told you in the Talmud about Ben Kalba Sabua, is to try to expound. I like this. Noctimon's name is expounded by saying that he made rain like Joshua did, and the sun stood still for him, and he could, because he could command the heavens. It's just nonsense, of course, too. I'm not going to be, for one over the other. I just want to see if these traditions relate to each other and which came first, the chicken or the egg. So Noctimon, Nakada in in Hebrew means to pierce through. So they come up with some nonsense analysis of why he's named shine through, pierce through, come through. And they come up with the idea that he could make the sun pierce through the clouds and stop the rain or bring the rain. Well, that's, of course, in the Christian sources. James is said that once during a famine he was able to make rain. That's in, you'll find that in Jerome, a tradition about James. No, not Jerome, pardon me. Contemporary of Jerome called Epiphanes, who was a Palestinian Jewish Christian. A bishop who went over ultimately to Greece and wrote these books called Collections of Sectary and stuff. Epiphanes is very, the sources for, it's all in my books, but the sources for extra biblical James type material is Jerome, Eusebius, Origen, and Jerome, Eusebius, Origen, and of course the not one that didn't survive but has the most, and he's closest to the time. Eusebius cribs from him, so we know Eusebius knew him, but Eusebius probably was in a position to have him destroyed. That is his works, because he was Constantine's bishop, and his after Eusebius cribbed from him, no one ever mentioned Hegesippus again. If we could find a copy of Hegesippus, who was living in the 2nd century, and he's the one that gives most of the traditions about James's death and so on and so forth, we'd be in very rich earth, really. Now these early church sources go up to the 4th, 5th centuries, and that's what the Talmud is being collected in the 4th, 5th, 6th centuries. The Talmud, the creation of rabbinic Judaism, is parallel to the creation of Pauline high church Christianity. The two are developing side by side. One from a pro-law standpoint, I might say, and the other from an anti-law standpoint. It's about the, with a lot of Greek mythological Hellenistic things thrown in, Mediterranean things to appeal to a Mediterranean clientele, of which we are all heirs, because we're Mediterranean, aren't we? We eat Mediterranean food. We like spaghetti and olive oil and big salads. So we fit that bill. That's a joke. Anyway, so, and as you see, this passage in Luke is related to the Canaanite woman who objects to Jesus not curing her daughter, because even the dogs eat the crumbs under the table, or as Mark rephases it, the crumbs that fall from the master's table. And so this tradition in Luke